Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to make a honeycomb stitch with chunky yarn. If you're interested in this color is Black Raspberry from the Cozy Company website. If you've never made a chunky net blanket before, I would definitely recommend starting with the original just knit stitch blanket. The honeycomb stitch is a little bit more advanced and definitely requires some sort of knowledge of chunky net blankets. To get started, we're going to chain 30. Now, if you need some extra help figuring out how to chain your blanket, you can refer to the written PDF. But in this video, I am just going to assume that you know how to get it started. Okay, so I now have a chain of 30. I am just going to pull up 30 loops in an original knit stitch. Okay, I now have 30 loops, and we are going to start the base of the honeycomb pattern. The honeycomb pattern consists of 4 rows that we are just going to repeat over and over again until you get to your desired length of your blanket. So the very first row, we are going to follow this pattern right here. And this is in the written PDF as well. But if you want to pause at any point to take a screenshot or look at this, this is going to be row 1 and row 3 of the 4-row sequence. So to start, we are going to knit 1. We're always going to knit our edges, and then purl 1. Knit 2, purl 1. Knit 4, purl 1. Knit 2, purl 1, knit 4, purl 1, knit 2, purl 1, knit 4. Purl 1, knit 2, purl 1, and then knit our end. So we are still going to follow this pattern for the second row. However, whenever we get to K4s, we're going to do crossovers. So I like to skip my first stitch starting each row. So because I just knit one here, I'm going to start with purl 1. So purl 1, knit 2, purl 1, and now I'm at my first 4 knits. So instead of knitting the 4 like we did in the previous row, what we're going to do is we're going to take the first 2 loops and we're going to cross them. So I'm going to cross my second loop over my first loop, and I'm going to knit that second loop. Then, as you can see, that first loop that we crossed is behind. I'm going to knit that as it lays. And I'm going to do the opposite on my 3rd and 4th loop of that knit 4. So I am going to take my 4th loop and my 3rd loop. I'm going to cross them in the opposite direction. So my 3rd loop is on top of my 4th loop. I'm going to knit that 4th loop first and then knit my 3rd loop. So as you can kind of see, there is a V going outwards, and that is the pattern you want to see. And then we're just going to continue on with our sequence. So purl 1, knit 2, purl 1, and then I'm at my knit 4 again. So again, I'm going to take my second loop, cross it over my first, and knit. My first loop is now underneath. I'm going to knit that one where it lays. And then I'm going to do the opposite in my 3rd and 4th. So my 4th loop is going to go behind, or if it makes more sense, your 3rd loop will go over. Knit that 4th loop first, and then knit that 3rd loop that is on top. And again, I'm just going to follow that sequence. Purl 1, knit 2, purl 1, and then I'm at my knit 4 again. So again, taking that first and second, that second loop is going to go over the first, and we're going to knit it, and then that first loop is now behind, and we're going to knit that one where it lays. And we're going to do the opposite direction for the 3rd and 4th. 3rd loop is going to go over the 4th loop. You're going to cross them. We're going to knit that 4th loop first, and then we're going to knit our 3rd loop that's on top. And then to end, we're just going to purl 1, knit 2, purl 1, and then we always knit our edge. So for row 3 of the 4 pattern sequence, we are just going to do this pattern again. We're not going to do any crossovers. We're just following this one just as we did in the first row. So I just knit my end, so I'm not going to knit it again. I'm going to purl 1, knit 2, purl 1, knit 4, purl 1, oops, knit 2, purl 1, knit 4, purl 1, knit 2, purl 1, knit 4, purl 1, knit 2, purl 1, and then we're going to knit our edge. So we've just completed 3 rows of the row sequence of the honeycomb pattern. So for the 4th row in the last row, we are again going to follow this sequence, but when we get to knit 4s, we're going to do crossovers. So I am going to purl 1, knit 2, purl 1, and now I've reached my knit 4. So what we did the 2nd row, we crossed them over so they would go outwards. We're going to do the opposite of in the 4th row. So what I mean by that is we are going to take our 1st loop and we're going to cross it over our 2nd loop, and we're going to knit that 2nd loop first. Then we're going to knit that 1st loop that we crossed over. So as you can see, we're bringing that honeycomb back in. And again, with our 3rd and 4th loop, we're going to do the opposite. So originally we put our 3rd loop over our 4th. For this row, we're going to put our 4th loop over our 3rd, knit our 4th first, and then knit our 3rd that's behind. So you should start to see like a circle or the honeycomb pattern take place. If you do not see this completed circle, you should take your work out and start again, because this is the honeycomb pattern. This is what we want to see. So I'm just going to continue my pattern here. Purl 1, knit 2, purl 1, and then again I'm at my knit 4. So I'm going to cross my 1st loop over my 2nd, and I'm going to knit my 2nd one first, and then this is the 1st loop that I crossed over. I'm going to knit that one, so we're bringing it back inwards. And I'll do the opposite with my 3rd and 4th loop. I'm going to put my 4th loop over my 3rd, knit that first, and then that 3rd loop should be behind. I'm going to knit that one. And then I'm just going to continue on with my pattern. Purl 1, knit 2, purl 1, and then again I'm at my knit 4. So cross the 1st over the 2nd, knit the 2nd, and then knit the 1st. And the 3rd and 4th, cross the 4th over the 3rd, knit the 4th, and then knit the 3rd. Purl 1, knit 2, purl 1, and then knit. So as you can see, that is the 4-row sequence of the honeycomb pattern. You want to repeat that 4-row sequence until you get to your desired length of your blanket. So this pattern is 30 stitches. If you would like to make a smaller blanket, all you do is take out one of these P1, K2, P1, K4s. So if I wanted to make a smaller blanket, I would take one of these out, and that would be now 22 stitches. If I wanted to make a larger blanket, I would add one of these and then always end with this. This will be in the written PDF tutorial though.